Hi everybody, welcome to Why Squad. I'm your host Lionel Ray, and of course this is a house where asking why is not only a necessity, it's also encouraged. Today we're going to be talking about why having the mindset of a child is so important to your time as an adult. So strap in, get ready for a ride, because here we go. Alright everybody, we're going to get right into this conversation, but before we do, of course like always, I usually have my host Alex with me. He's out at the moment taking care of some things off site, so I brought in some great friends of mine that I want to introduce you to, and some people that you should meet that have some great dreams of their own. Gentlemen, come on in.
Toby, good morning.
Good morning.
Good day, buddy.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So, for all of our fans out there, introduce yourself. Let them know what you guys do. That's so amazing.
Yeah. Randy Schneck. I work with my brother with the Solana Group, land development, and big aspirations. So I'll let Dave actually bring a little more detail to that intro of what we do.
I'm the spokesperson for the group. I'm David Forden. I'm the chief executive of the Solana Group, and we are spearheading the development of a $4 billion futuristic city, and that's a master plan city in Arizona, and Randy's our sports events and our entire development management leader. And there's probably a dozen more titles we can add to it, but
I got a whole shelf of hats. You know.
Yeah, we're just trying to limit to the top two for now.
Yeah, that's fun. Just to even think about, just go back. For what? 4 billion? I haven't even seen that number on paper, let alone like...
Oh, it's more money than God, yeah.
That's a lot of money, but to even think about it, what would be the size of a $4 billion city? Because, I mean, you think of construction and everything, of course the number looks big, but when I see the city, that's like maybe, what, 10 square miles?
No, believe it or not, it's
1 square mile.
1 square mile. A square mile is about 643 acres. We got about 520 of it that's developable.
Okay.
And we're setting a portion of that. It's tribal land, Salt River tribe, and part of it we're leaving as a cultural sensitive area.
Okay.
We're gonna just...
It's right in the bullseye of Metro Phoenix, and square footage, it's hard to relate to square footage because if I'm the normal public, I don't know what that means, but it's about 12 million square feet to 20 million square feet, and include high-tech robotics, World Trade Center, sports venues for pro soccer and other teams. It has regenerative medicine centers, a major theme park, music-based, and retail, hospitality, and it's all like this mega structure, beautiful city of the future.
Future's a big point in that too. You know, it's not a Walmart.
Yeah.
We're not Autoplex. We're not a storage center. We're not a parking lot. It's the next several generations of thinking, and that's the type of facilities we want to put in place.
Yeah, and nothing against the Walmarts. Those are valid stores and everywhere, and everyone goes to, but it's not part of this particular development. It's very unique, one-of-a-kind architecture, science, state-of-the-art.
Sign me up for a condo on Main Street.
No residential.
No residential.
No residential. It's all
awesome.
What's called C3 zoning, so it's all commercial zoned.
Except I will have a top secret condo in there.
Somebody's got to have a penthouse
Just
condo
kidding.
on top of them.
Just kidding.
You know what? You know there's going to be a pad.
The pad. Yeah, the future city pad. People would pay so much money to like sit on top of whatever the high-rise building is and stay for a night or two to be able to see the whole...
Well, it's all very pedestrian, European cafes, parks. It's not like you go to a restaurant bar and there's a cafe and it looks out into a street with traffic or anything. And now you're looking at the parks and entertainment.
It's a whole video in itself. We definitely...
Without question.
Let me do that sometime. Just get into your world. But today, speaking on future and the fact that you're being able to create something that in my opinion, no offense, but is a child's dream. You know, kids sit in art classes and draw elaborate worlds and future cities and all these things. And as adults, you are creating a future city. You know, you're doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, we still use color crayons.
We would grade ourselves A minus, C plus. The Disney rides, for instance, they used to have the e-tickets and you know, so you're still on a graded level.
a graded system.
So there's a lot of childlike things that come through life that people don't really recognize, but the people who are doing the stuff, they bring that in because that's when your mind is most open to those things.
Is this something you've always wanted to do? When you both were younger men, which probably wasn't that long ago. What did you want to do? What did you want to be? What was your biggest dream?
Well, you know, I always look back, you know, the space travel was number one when I was a child. I got fortunate to see the first space launch.
Oh, wow.
And, I mean, not there, don't get me wrong. I saw it on TV, black and white, just like,
being in that,
you know,
that energy.
Yeah, it was incredible, and it just left a huge mark in my life. And, you know, so as a child, you know, I want to be an astronaut. I'm sure most every kid from that era felt the same way. It's like, wow, space travel. Well, it's still not out of the picture.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely not. It's actually getting closer to being able, you know, once someone does that move to say, okay, how do we do commercial space trips?
The Bronsons of the world.
It's gonna
Branson,
Richard Branson.
Branson.
Yeah.
Is it Branson?
Yeah.
The Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You know, all of those folks. Not that they're our best friends, but we would hope they would be our best friends.
At some point in time.
Come on, please take us up north.
Yeah. How about yourself, David? What was your biggest dream?
To spearhead the development of a $4 billion city. That's
No, it was to get rid of me.
It was space for both of us. I wanted to be an astronaut. Went as far as Air Force Academy. Things changed in life, but you start envisioning what for me it was, if I'm not physically going to travel to space, which is, as you're saying, it's not out of the question. You know, those flights are coming in probably the next 10 years. So
yeah,
that's very realistic. It was more what happens when you get there. You know, when's the voyage? And I did it. Then you arrive. What are you going to do? Or will you come to a planet that has other life, and what will their cities of the future would be? So it was more transporting yourself visually into that other world, and then perhaps bringing a piece of that world back here to inspire people to explore, to use imagination to do greater and bigger things. So that's how it transferred into my life.
Definitely. And that brings up a really good point. At least I see that the things that happen in our lives, you know, biggest wars to the mind-blowing and life-changing explorations of life when we discover something new or we have a breakthrough, changes the aspect of where the children of the next generation are actually going to end up when they become adults.
Like me learning how to use my cell phone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking of the biggest breakthroughs.
I mean, the cell phone was a big break, because I still remember when my mom had that big, like, it looked like four, like,
and you put
remotes taped together.
Yeah, the big old clunky things that you put down on the dash or the console of your car. Clunk.
Yeah, or flip phones. It's so funny, flip phones weren't even out. Flip phones came out and they were amazing. And then all of a sudden, they were just nothing. They didn't even
Randy
last
has
that long.
nothing to say on this.
He still has a flip phone.
I have a flip phone.
I
I have a real phone And then
That's a prop.
For nostalgia reasons.
No, it's a modern day Samsung military grade. It's indestructible, and it has 5 days of battery power.
So they use
and
all
I just
these
use it
big
for calling.
words. They use all these big words and exclamations to make you use a flip phone.
Yeah. No, I got one. It's
And his flip phone, get this,
yeah.
it actually has a rotary dial on it.
Really? That's actually
I'm
pretty
just-
awesome. Oh, I was about to say that was cool. I won't
And you have to put a quarter in every time. It's part of a piggy bank.
That'd be a great app.
I would go rotary. Yo, that's so vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would totally do that. That would be awesome. Somebody should
Somebody's gonna grab that.
a case with a rotary on the bottom, and then the middle of it is also the home button, so you can still use the phone as you want to as a touch phone, or you can use the rotary. But
Another
That
one
was
of
so
Randy's
cool.
caps is Inventor Supreme. I mean,
Awesome.
this man, he was 24 years ship captain for a cruise ship in Alaska.
Okay.
And so in Alaska, I mean, very responsible position. But I'm just going to say, if you're in Alaska and the officer, what do you do? And so he invents things and gadgets and little machines, and they're really great.
pretty awesome.
That you go past. I mean, I've seen maybe 20, 30 just designs of really great ideas. It's a matter of then you have to follow through with each of them, and that you have to have a full-time career just doing that.
Well, that brings me to my next point. As children, a lot of times, getting from point A to point B with the ideas of what's going on in society, what's going on in the world, like yourselves, wanting to be astronauts, wanting to see a world untouched and create in an untouched world, gets lost from childhood to an adulthood state. There's so many kids, so many people around that were affected by the launch that all wanted to be astronauts. When baseball was at its height in the beginning, so many kids that want to be baseball players that never became baseball players. There's so many people out there who are affected, and it's sad to think. At least my thoughts are, that's not children's fault. That's not our fault when we're kids. That's adults' fault not living our dreams, making children feel that they can't live theirs.
Well, that's exactly right. What you're saying is that, and we all face this, and I'm sure everybody faces in their life. You have a dream and a vision, and an adult will come and whoever a teacher or a friend of your parents, whatever, just saying, oh, what you have is a pipe dream, that'll never happen. Or it could be really good, because a lot of those ideas, kids have great, amazing ideas.
Amazing.
But they're taken with a grain of salt just because you're young. And young people are smart. And
Very
if they
smart
only
and
have a
intuitive.
path, absolutely. And if they have a path, if there's a foundation for next generation, something that you can go through without getting that constant beat down. You
Yes.
can't do this. You got to do your homework first. You got to do the yard or this. Reality of life.
You haven't lived life. You're not an adult.
Well, that's just
and
it.
You get shot down, and you start losing
And it's sad.
your direction.
It's so sad.
Right, they're telling you,
Unfortunate.
you don't know what life is about. You try and, be
Live
on
some
your own.
life and then
Try and make it on your own. And I know when
And then have those dreams.
I get it. In a
Yeah.
way, it's almost like a rite of passions. I've been through all of this. I've been through that. So if you can make it through this and get there, then cool, you've made it. But it's almost like we force people to make it through our mistakes. And I've heard this a lot when I was younger. You'll learn as you get older, or you'll learn as you get.
Absolutely.
No, how about you'll learn as you live, and take that life lesson that you're living right now, and no matter your age or where you are in life, and be able to apply that, because it may change what everyone else has learned, so that you can evolve the actual actions of everyone else. Children innately know what they don't like, what they do like, and what they want to do. And if you feed into that energy, they'll always be that way. They don't change. They don't have any fear. They, other than the instinct of, wow, that hurts, or I don't like that. That's not something I'm really into. And I feel like we should follow children's instincts versus following their ignorance.
Well, I think that's important about following children's instincts to allow them to be expressive. It's also important as you go as a youth, or no matter what age, is to try and protect yourself, to be affected from those things. I think we would wear, or I would at least have, this invisible suit of armor that would repel all those sticks and bones and words that never hurt me type thing. And except when Randy would slug me, the suit didn't do anything. But as when you're younger, you always, well, I don't know if everybody does this, but when you're younger, you have the question, what if I could do that? And you explore that.
Well, it's about taking risk.
And taking risk and not being afraid.
But taking risk when you're a child is, do I jump off the swing when I get to the top?
Every time.
Yeah.
And when you get older, do you even swing that high anymore?
Well, that's true, because it's one thing that starts to take away from the child thinking part of it is, now you know what the risks are.
First time you hit your head or you break your leg.
But does that mean you shouldn't take the risk because you know what the bad outcome could be?
Exactly.
I feel like if I know I'm going to lose $1,000 if this goes bad, then I'm going to try to have $2,000 before I do it,
right,
and still do it. But people, I feel a lot of times they take the safe way out. I know I'll make $100 here, so instead of going for that $5,000 and might lose my entire $1,000, I'm just not gonna put that bet in. I'm gonna go over here.
And it's just a sad way of life as you get older, understanding more of the everyday life, and you start wondering, geez, do I take that childlike step?
Well, and exactly, the idea of what if, should I, and risk. And maybe I've had good mentors. At one point we went our different ways. We were just separated and had different mentorships. But mine was always, you don't want to live life with what ifs. So if there's a choice of A to B, and A is what you really want to do. You want to go on this trip, an adventure, foreign country, you don't know anybody, it's going to cost money. What if you fail and come back and you're broke? What will I do? And B is you can stay here, you've got a new job, and you've got a place to live. Well, you take A every time. You don't want to live in B wondering, what if I had done that? Where would I have been? You do it, and if you fail, you go, at least I tried.
Yeah.
And if you succeed, and chances are 99% of the time you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
You go on to the next. What if?
Move on.
You keep doing that until, and as Randy's saying, where kids are, or adults will say, you haven't lived until you're an adult. I think one of the things with your persistence, and we can go into all the things that get you to preserve those qualities of your visions as a youth, but now it's sort of, people will look at us and they can no longer say, you haven't lived life, or you don't know what it's like to be an adult. You don't know responsibilities, because we have, but we've also tackled those things.
And I think that's a common misconception, especially with like the children who are protesting today and kids who are super intelligent in today's day and age, that time equals knowledge. That experience of time equals maturity. I really think it's just environment. If you're brought up in an environment that, cultures maturity, cultures intelligent, cultures exploration, then it doesn't matter if you're making the right steps. Now, of course, someone who needs a little bit more extra push into being in the right direction, then that's different. But I don't think it should be determined by what age you are. Just because you're over the age of 30 doesn't mean you can't still be a child. You know, I'm going on 32 and I still play video games. I still hang out with my little brother and sister and run out and do stuff. I still watch cartoons. I do a lot of things that, you know, in an adult life, a lot of times people are like, where do you find time? Well, I make time, right? You know, which brings me to my next question. Let me ask you this. What's something you used to do when you were younger that you can't do anymore, that you feel you don't have enough time?
That's a Randy's question.
I'll answer that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I speak for a lot of adults, and as a child, one of the favorite things was to go out on the playground, go out in the field, play sports, just have that open-minded, free thinking, just forgetting about all the outside influences, and just going out and having fun with your friends. And as you get older, you lose that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like you were saying earlier, how when you're a child, you're an open book, man.
Yeah.
Everybody around you is an open book. And then as you get older, you start forming a circle. You start shutting doors, and that circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And you know, it's unfortunate. And you know, so I just go back, and I just wish I could go out every day, out on the playground, out in that open field, and run around.
And eat dirt.
Eat dirt. Damn, don't tell me no, I can't eat dirt.
And well,
What do you mean? That's so. It's still so. That's gonna be like I told you. That's gonna be my thing from now on. What do you mean I can't eat dirt? Who says I can't eat dirt?
I think there's two paths to that question, and what Randy mentioned about sports. Hello. No, what Randy mentioned about sports is that, you know, when you're young, you can play sports, and both of us grew up in sports. We did, you know, Randy played all sports, you know, in small school, but then we went on and we took a love and a passion to soccer in high school and college and premier, amateur, semi-pro, and professional. So we've had a whole career, and it was something we did, we wanted to do, and now we're at a level saying, God, I wish I could play soccer again, or keep playing.
Yeah.
And even though as long as we played, you know, only until a few years ago, months ago even, and it's the fact of being able to do that when you're young is something that you think about, that you never think that, well, I have to play the sport because when I get older, I'm not going to be able to play.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know that's the case. You think when you're young, you think you can play the same way you are now when you're 100 years old.
Definitely.
And so that's one part of the equation of one of the things you wish you could do that that you were able to do when you're young. The other part is having a dream or a vision about something, and then having the realities of life from rent and marriage or pregnancy or the army or whatever, and then you're not able to do that, and you go into something else that you never thought of as a kid, and you lose what you're able to do. The part is being able to, I think the challenge is to have the discipline to stay with whatever vision you had or what you want to do through all those obstacles, and come through at the end going through different pathways to preserve that. If not, it will get lost.
Yeah.
And, you know, for me personally, it's all those things. I'm very fortunate that by not going head on certain things, have been able to achieve and continue and bring that dream alive, where Randy's more the butt heads, and rather than path of least resistance, to face it straight on, and I gotta go through that wall because that wall is where I have to go.
I'm definitely that type of person. I like learning the hard way. I don't know why. used to tell me that all the time. You must like learning the hard way. I'm like, I guess I do, and I've learned to use that as a strength. Not being afraid to hit the wall, and still trying to find ways to just make proper decisions as you push through and persevere, and try your best to get where you're going. In your own words, what's the most important part, or why is it important to have that childhood mentality now as adults?
Well, I think it's important to keep that open-minded thinking, that fresh thinking, not taking the no's. As a kid, you just, when you first hear no, you're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, what's that?
I mean, what do you mean I can't do that? In your mind, you can do that.
Yeah.
You know you can do it. And as you get older, you start listening to those no's and the society knows.
Yeah.
And that starts pushing you down. And you just can't allow life to do that to you. To keep that child type thinking as an adult, those thoughts and those fresh ideas and aspirations and excitement for life and what's coming up the next day and the future is you don't ever want to lose that, man. It's really, really important, I think, to keep that fresh thinking. Childhood thinking, if you will. But
It's as Randy's saying, you want to be fresh and stay fresh, and you can either get locked into what you have to be when you're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50, 60, whatever, that's where you should be. And at this age, you shouldn't be doing things, you shouldn't be going to rock and roll concerts, unless you're, in your 20s and 30s, but when you're 40, that's it. And that's just society.
You're telling me I can't eat rock.
No, you can't. And that's part of, for us, it's staying in touch with every generation, especially in the work we're doing in creating the future. It's in touch with every generation in styles, in fashion, in music, and in social beliefs, and to understand those. And they're not so far apart from generation to generation. Every generation wants to be a little different, not to conform, to move what they have, and everyone can do that. They're just going to have to face things with a level of discipline to achieve what they want. For us, it is part of staying youthful, and it's understanding. And this is a hard one. What you can control and what you can't control.
Definitely.
Many times you think you can control what you can't control, and you have to sometimes give into that. There's a greater universe that may have the path for you that's not the path you think you should be going. I mean, you're going to the same place, but that's not the path to get there. And it will naturally shift you. If you have your conviction to go, it'll shift you into a path that gets you an easier way, where later on you'll go, well, this happened when I least expected it, and at the time when I least expected it, and in a way that I never thought was possible, and it got me there, and I was banging my head against the wall at this other place. So it's really about being able to be flexible, fluid, knowing where you're going, and caring. We've always talked about that, about caring around people around you, the world around you, the planet you live on, and putting that passion into everything you do, whether it's at a small scale, a large scale, medium scale. It doesn't matter. It's just living in life and enjoying it.
And bettering yourself. I mean, saying, if you better yourself, you're going to better the people around you, the communities, everybody. I mean, if you just want to treat yourself good, and that will help your circle, and then it will expand outside of that circle.
And that's why we do Why Ask Why. It's all about that self-empowerment and betterment, and be more than the average you have been in the past. And And those are some of the things that, I've kind of stapled more into myself after having this conversation with you. Like you said, children don't always understand what no means. Even when they know what no means, they still don't understand, like, why. Why is this no? They have that stubbornness. And we lose that stubbornness out of giving no more weight than it deserves. And keeping on paths of being able to move and stay on. I think a lot of that comes from a fear. A fearless that children have that you lose as you become adults. Fear then becomes a tool that you're using versus an instinctive emotion that allows you to know when something isn't right or when not to take a certain direction.
That's exactly right. Understanding what's right and wrong. Those are just part of the values, because not every, you have to respect no's too. Sometimes there are things that you definitely can't do, and you have to respect and understand that. But it can't be no because I say so, or no because it's their shortcoming that they don't believe.
There has to be some vitality to that. It can't just be invulnerable no, without flaw. It's no because no. I need to know the vulnerability of that no. Why? No because this can break. No because this is going to go wrong. Now, that's the problem. It's not the no, it's now the vulnerabilities of why it's a no that becomes a problem, so that now I can solve that problem to get back to my yes.
Understanding the consequences.
Well, it's simple as a kid. You say, don't touch that, that's because it's hot. And, somebody can tell you all day long, don't touch it till it's hot. It's not till you touch it and you go, I burned myself.
Yeah, how many times
you realize
told
it.
As a kid, don't look at the sun.
Well, yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to go outside and look at
the sun.
Yeah.
And then when that light is still in your face, when you look everywhere
If
else.
I had sunglasses, I put it already, you'd be like,
it's a simple thing, then you'll learn, life's lessons.
Well, if this has taught me anything about life, I used to think that we had to teach children how to be adults, because you don't have to teach them how to be children. Children, when you're younger, you know how to be a scientist. You know how to question life. I think we need to teach our children how to stay children and stay scientists as they go into adults, so that they keep the fresh look and they keep being perceptive to compromise. I thank you, gentlemen, for being here. It was a lovely conversation. Hopefully someone out there in the world enjoyed it and got something from this conversation to take home for themselves. This is Why Ask Why, the place where asking why is not only a necessity, it's also encouraged. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the ride.
Thank you.
thank you.
Gentlemen.
Thanks, LB.